Yes, sir.
How you
Hey.
doing? Pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yeah. Okay.
Y'all are ready, we'll call the meeting to order. We're going to start off by the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. If you would, please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads. Lord, we just thank you so much for the opportunities that you give us in this great country that we live in. We just ask that you guide us and direct us tonight and give us wisdom, and that we do the will of the people of Walton County. In Christ's name. All right, we need to everybody get the minutes of our last meeting. We need to do any changes on those minutes? They look all right? Somebody want to make a motion? All right, we got a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Matt, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Matt Carpenter for the Planning Department, CARPENTER. We do have one announcement tonight. We'd like to welcome Mr. Dan Cosen, a new appointee to this board. Look forward to working with Dan. And I think that's all of our announcements this evening. We've got a number of projects to review, both legislative and quasi-judicial, and we'll get started with that if you're ready to go.
We're ready.
First item tonight is the Girl Scout RV Park Future Land Use Amendment with rezoning. This is a request to approve by ordinance. It's been reviewed by Bob Baronti, and I'll ask Bob to introduce it for us.
Good afternoon. Bob Baronti, B-A-R-O-N-T-I, Planning and Development Services. Thank you, Mac. As Mac stated, this is large-scale amendment, future land use with rezoning. It was submitted by Choctaw Engineering Incorporated on behalf of the Girl Scouts Council of Florida Panhandle Incorporated, requesting to change from future land use of public facilities and institutional to general agriculture, in a zoning district from institutional to general agricultural on 1,635 plus or minus acres. The parcel numbers are in your staff report. Mr. Chair, this large-scale amendment meets all LDC and comprehensive plan requirements. All comments have been addressed. The applicant, I believe, is here to speak. Oh, Mark is on Zoom. I apologize.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me before I turn it over to the applicant?
Got any questions?
Chair, may I have the staff report entered in the record, please?
Yes, sir.
And I will turn it over to Mr. Steiner.
All right, thank you.
Hello, this is Mark Steiner with Conceptual. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we don't have anything further to add to the project. It's a pretty straightforward rezoning request. We're trying to change the institutional zoning, which the Girl Scouts had, and they're no longer functioning as the Girl Scout camp. And as you can see on the map, the general agriculture zoning and future land use is all around us to the north and to the west and the east. And this will allow us RV park on the site. That's it.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions for the applicant? Nope, we don't have any questions right now, but stand by because we're going to open up to public comments. Anybody want, did we have anybody in the audience want to comment on this? See anyone, and I didn't have anybody sign up for anything, so we'll close public comments. Hear something? Oh, sorry, can't see you back there. Did you want to comment on this? Well, you're going to have to come up to the microphone so we can hear you. State your name, please, and spell it for the... Sorry, say that again.
Eva Jacob,
Uh-huh.
and this is like right at my land, and they kept saying that nothing's gonna be done, but now you're telling me they're gonna put in a Girl Scout? Okay, well. Sorry. This is for the Girl Scout, I disagree to that too.
Well, then you can comment on this one since you're up here.
Well, from what what you just showed me, that, it's gonna be an RV park, is what you're saying.
We're not saying anything. We're just listening to they want to change the land use on it.
To be an RV park for Girl Scouts?
That's what they're stating they want to do with it. They'll still have to come back through the development order process. This is just a land use change.
Right. Okay, I'll go back now.
That all
Well,
you-
to be clarified, the Girl Scouts already have it, right? Or it was used by the Girl Scouts?
Yes, ma'am. Historically, this property was owned by the Girl Scouts, and that was the appropriate future land use and zoning because it was quasi-private, public. But since they are selling the land, that land use isn't appropriate. But what they're asking, they're basically just going to improve a little bit on the existing Girl Scout park and make it a commercial RV park. It's not going to be for all the acreage, but they want to encompass all the property that is being purchased.
And change it to agricultural,
Yes, ma'am.
which allows
The-
a limited set of things that can be done on it, correct?
Correct. And they will be permitted to continue, it will no longer be affiliated with the Girl Scout Park, but is my understanding that it will stay pretty much like the Girl Scout Park is, mainly undeveloped parks and trails and such. Yes, ma'am.
But it's got to be taken out of public facilities institutional since it's not going to be owned by,
Correct, by a public-private / entity. It's going to go to private hands.
Right.
It'll no longer be affiliated with the Girl Scouts.
and this is the most appropriate land use or zoning.
Yes, yes, Mr. Chair.
And I'm stating that so that the lady that was up here understands what's going on here, because they will have to come back for a development order
Correct,
for whatever else they want to do.
correct. And their intent, and Mr. Steiner can back me up, is that they are going to leave most of the vast majority of land untouched.
And everybody will get a chance to see what they're going to do when it comes back through.
Of course, and their development order will have to meet the LDC and the comprehensive plan for it to get approved. This is just for the future land use itself and the zoning district itself. It is not to approve development.
Yes, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, since I missed her, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody else on public comments. Does anybody else needs to comment on this? Okay, seeing none, we will close public comment. Do we have anybody on Zoom? No. Okay. All right, we'll close public comments and commissioners.
Where on 90 is this located?
As you're heading toward Crawfordville, it's on the right. There's a building right up there by 90 where it says, I think it says Jesus Saves. Go down there to the dead
Going
end.
towards Mossy Head?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's off Girl
Yeah, I
Scout
saw,
Road.
I would, yeah, I was a little confused, okay.
But that's, I think that is the landmark that's right
Okay.
there at that intersection.
The Shoal River runs through there, and I've kayaked it, and it's some beautiful land. Be nice if the county could buy it for a public park.
It's the former Girl Scout reservation, camp.
It's hard to
I
pronounce.
saw it, but I couldn't pronounce it.
I'm not going to try.
Wiki-watchy or something. Anybody else got any questions, or what do y'all want to do on that?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next item for your consideration is item number 3 on our agenda, the Malibu Gardens Mariner Way Common Area Abandonment. This is a request to approve by resolution. It's been reviewed by Stephen Schoen of our staff, and he will briefly introduce it.
They're gonna fix it.
They had it plugged in, crossed over. Yeah, I'm still on.
Good evening.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's all right. We're ready to go. All right. This is an abandonment application submitted by Bob McGill on behalf of Bill Ostrander, requesting to abandon a 0.08 acre portion of the former Malibu Gardens Homeowners Association common area. This common area west of Lot 8 was dedicated to Walton County. The property has a future land use of residential and a zoning district of neighborhood infill. It can be located at the end of the cul-de-sac on Mariner Way and identified by the parcel number you have in your staff report, which I would like to enter into the record, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. If I will, this was continued from the last meeting based on insufficient notice. I will let the applicant address how we corrected that momentarily. I believe he's here or is online. I just wanted to remind the board that there was a discussion regarding the public works concern for the easement at the rear and potentially one going, I think, north-south along where that split may occur between the two opposite property owners. But if you have no other questions for me, I'll turn it over to him.
I think Chance Powell was here and answered those questions, didn't he?
He was last time. I don't know if he's here presently or available via Zoom.
I think we got the question answered anyway on.
Okay, great. Right.
Had everything they needed in there from their standpoint, so.
Okay.
Okay, anybody got any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Okay, is, Mr. McGill, are you on? Okay. Mr. McGill, you there?
This is Bill Ostrander. I don't know if Mr. McGill's on or not.
Okay,
And as I said, this was continued from the last one where the only thing that there was outstanding was a notification to some businesses that were in the area, and that notification was made. We're just looking to pick up this abandoned property. As we stated last time, it'll be split between me and the neighbor. For the property on the adjacent side of it, we're just going to maintain the property as we've done. The neighbor next to me is or to the other side of the property has maintained it for 17 years. Myself, I've been here for 5 years maintaining it. We've agreed at the last meeting that I believe the county wanted to be able to have a right-of-way, 7.5 feet, and we agreed to that without a problem, and subject to any questions.
Mr. Chairman, can you hear me now?
yes.
Hello?
Oh, is this,
Yeah, this is Bob McGill, and I'll just pick up where Mr. Ostrander left off, is that we were good with I think Mr. Powell had recommended that we have a 15-foot easement, kind of continue the drainage along the south. We've agreed to that, and then access on either side, 7.5 feet for the county to be able to access, if necessary, the drainage easement on the south. So those would be conditions to the resolution, and we're agreeable to those.
okay, thank you. Y'all got any questions for the applicant? Okay, we're going to open up for public comment now. I see, Ms. Jacob, that you again? Okay, come on.
Ma'am, can you come forward, please? It's in the Miramar Beach area.
Yeah, it's down on the west, toward the west end, down there off 98.
My bad, I'm in a teleconference. Can I call you back here soon?
Okay, do we have any other public comment?
Okay, thank you.
I didn't have anybody sign up. I don't see anybody here. We got anybody on Zoom? Okay. All right, we'll close public comment. Commissioners, y'all have any more questions, discussion, motions?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. This moves us to agenda item number 4, the Nokuse Future Land Use Amendment with rezoning. This is a request to approve by ordinance also. It's been reviewed by Stephen Schoen, and he'll be describing the project for you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening again.
Mhm.
This is a large-scale future land use map amendment application and zoning change application submitted by Walton County Planning and Development Services on behalf of the Davis Stella 2015 Land Trust, Nokuse Education Inc., David Stella 2015 Land Trust, and others that are all related to one owner or group of owners. Requesting approval to, requesting approval of a large-scale future land use change from estate residential, general agriculture, large-scale agriculture, Black Creek Special Planning Area, and public facilities to a land use of conservation, and a zoning district change from estate residential, general ag, large-scale ag, public facilities, and Black Creek low-density residential and town center to conservation as well on 59 individual parcels totaling approximately 6,950 plus or minus acres. The subject lands are adjacent to or abutting other conservation lands under the same ownership and are located throughout the South Central and North Central planning areas. Can be generally accessed from State Road 20 and Highway 31. As you can see, there are 59 parcels. There's a list in the staff report that I would like to enter into the record, please. If I can just go into a bit of detail on this, I know, I believe most of the folks in the audience are probably concerned about the letter they received going over this application. I want it to just be known as plain as I can state it. These lands are owned by the MC Davis folks, Nokuse Education Inc., and just those folks that are all under one kind of umbrella corporation or what have you. This application isn't pertaining to any other lands other than those lands, those 59 parcels. And they are intent on creating a conservation or furthering their conservation area that they now have to maintain these lands in their natural state. There is no application for any sort of development, and the conservation zoning and land use essentially limits their use to no intensity and no density. It allows for some recreational use and those sort of things, but very, very minor in nature at all. But I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I don't know if there's a representative from the Nokuse folks here that's willing to speak on this application anyways, but I can answer or try to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, do we have yeah, we've got somebody.
And,
Oh,
and
great.
Stephen, and for clarity's sake, our items number 4 and 5 are somewhat related, I guess. They're different applicants.
I mean,
but-
they're in the same area. They're related, and so there's a little bit of backstory here. The Nokuse folks purchased these lands, and much of these lands you can see in the aerial. There's a fairly large swath down there that essentially removed about 80% of what was the Black Creek Special Planning Area, future land use designation, and what was a sort of a planned unit development sort of situation down there. So when Nokuse purchased these lands, it essentially left the designation, future land use, and zoning all void for all intents and purposes. You couldn't have the same vision. It just wouldn't be, it would never come to fruition. So the county removed that language from the comp plan and essentially left some of these parcels that are in the next item in a bit of limbo. So there is some relation, but it's not directly related.
Okay. All right, do we have somebody here to speak for the applicant? It looks like we've got Mr. Oresco online, but I don't know if he's going to speak. Davis?
I'm actually here for them on the next item, but we have all the densities, all the development rights.
For next time, Mr. Davis to come in.
Okay, well, then we'll open it up to public comment, let anybody that's got any questions come up. I do have Ms. Jacob.
Okay, so I moved in prior to MC Davis, and since then, recently, I have a piece of land there, and then Matt, whoever Matt is, the person that deals for MC Davis Properties, said that he was able to buy this land from me. I never saw a penny. He just came in and bought it. My easement is still there, but what's gonna happen behind that? They keep saying that it's gonna be conservation land, and all I hear is guns going off and people hunting back there. And I'm out here just trying to feed turkeys and watch wildlife, and there's tons of people back there hunting. And then you're gonna change that, I'm sure, into more of his stuff, which develops like there's some kind of something going on before you get to the place where the kids go. Some kind of camp, something that's usually closed.
You're talking about on 20?
Yes. So my land is right adjacent to his?
On 20?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a lot of parcels. I wasn't sure what you're talking about.
I'm south of 20. You got Mr. Abel and Miss Kathy, and mine comes in behind Miss Kathy and/or down Mr. Abel's, which is, well, here we go. This might be more helpful. Can I bring this up there?
Sure. Hand it to her and let her.
Oh. Gosh.
Are you just trying to show us where your property's located?
Yeah, I want to know what's going on behind what you all are planning on doing also behind that, because MC Davis keeps expanding his use of different things.
Okay, yes, ma'am. So I just want to clarify, do you want us to keep these papers, or are you just trying to identify for us where your property is
I
located?
think I've got more. Let me just,
Okay.
well, this will tell you where my
So,
property is
and
at, and this will tell you.
Okay. If you give us those papers, we have to keep them.
That's
So,
fine.
okay.
A little difficult. Okay.
So we'll just mark this, public exhibit 1, and I'll pass it around to the board so they can see.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now your question is that you want to know what they're planning on doing with it?
They're gonna do something.
And if you can, just go back to, because we got to capture everything for the video.
Because I'm sure they're gonna do something. They're gonna build something.
I don't think they can build on it once
Right.
it's conservation. It's got a pretty strict code they have to.
Perry, Mr. Perry, you're the one that had to, I bought it from you as well, and you had to make the easement go in there.
Okay.
I've got paperwork on that too, that I was like, wait a second, Perry, that sounds familiar. Because I bought it, this is before they even existed, and I made sure you didn't cut down the oak tree that was dark, and you had to send people in there because I was landlocked.
Did we get you fixed?
Well, apparently not, because Matt.
I don't have anything to do with MC's property, so.
Well, that was supposed to be mine. I
Yeah.
bought an attorney, and you had to provide egress in and out, basically.
Well, I'm not exactly, I don't remember what you're talking about.
98, it was a long time ago.
Ma'am, if we could, maybe Mr. Schoen could come forward and explain what would be allowed in the conservation land use category that they're seeking to change. I guess maybe give an idea of what the current entitlements are versus what they're going to.
Well, there are, like I said, a number of land use designations and zoning districts that are changing to conservation. I don't know the exact location of this based on what she has indicated. It's I think it's probably a state residential.
Ms. Jacobs.
I'm going back down, sit down. This might be, I don't know, this one might refresh your memory, but
So it's either a state or maybe general ag. I apologize. It is a bit hard to see.
Well, I think your
some of these
question is, what
exhibits.
can they do with the property, right? Matt, can you give her the definition of conservation? Yeah. Give that back to her, I guess. Excuse me, if you're going to speak, you're going to need to come up to the front so we can hear, because this is being recorded too. Would you like to come up and speak?
It's Kristen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kristen, I couldn't see you, I'm sorry.
Just to more specifically get that response on the record, she is adjacent to a parcel that will be
Conservation.
changed to conservation if the BCC accepts the recommendation, if y'all make one to recommend that. But there can be no construction on that parcel adjacent to her.
Okay.
Within the
Ms. Jacobs, did you hear that?
zoning.
Okay.
It is forever until the land use gets changed again through this kind of process if the applicant chooses to apply for it.
They'd have to come back through this process again to change it to something else. You'd get a notice. Okay,
so, in other words, okay. if
come on
it's-
up to the microphone if you don't mind.
If it's
Thank-
5+ acres and I wanted to sell a 1/4 acre or whatever, 1/2 acre of my land, then I wouldn't be able to sell it because it's now conservation.
No,
land.
they're not affecting your property at all. They're not doing anything to your property. It stays exactly the way it is. But you would have to, I don't know what yours is zoned now, so whatever it is, if it's allowed that you can block, cut some off and sell it, then that, it doesn't keep you from doing that or building on your property. This is just MC Davis's property. Just the property that I guess is adjacent to you. They're not doing anything to your property.
Okay, that's what I keep hearing.
All right, do we have any other comments? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I'm a little bit confused
Excuse me,
because.
can you state your
Oh,
name?
I'm sorry, Mike Vandenberg. I believe Sydney said that, or somebody said that item 4 and item 5 which item were we just talking about? Are we on item 5 yet?
No, sir, we're on item number 4.
Okay,
5 will be next.
all right, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Okay. Who is it? Mr. Resco, do you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm here if anyone had any questions about our conservation easements.
I think we got the one answered and what was allowed on conservation, so,
Yeah, and they are, just to clarify, our conservation easements with the state are in perpetuity, so
okay,
that means that it's always going to be in conservation.
okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. You're gonna have to come up to the front if you're gonna speak.
Red Bay. Matt's very familiar with me. Our piece of property down Tram Road butts up to, and conservation's wonderful. Matt is wonderful. I'm behind everything they're doing. All I'm worried about is how this affects the Vaughn family. Like, they use our road, which I've read all different kinds of web pages that say, be careful on letting people use your road because they can own it later. I've already spoken to him about that. We'll probably get a piece of paper drawn up through my sister. But when you say easement, I'm nervous. I'm sorry. When you say easement, to me, and there's my husband if he would like to join me, when you say easement, I think of an easement as, let's say, a county road and they own this little piece over there. When he butts up to, let's say, our road that he's using now to get onto their property, there's no way that he will own that extra. Where that Davis or Nokuse ends is where it ends, right? They don't own past that, let's say,
Ma'am,
10
they
feet.
don't.
I believe Mr. Oresco was referring to a conservation easement, so that is just a legal document that's placed on only the land Mr.
So
Davis owns.
easement-
So
sorry.
it's not an easement for access.
So
It's just a legal document that says that property can only be used for conservation.
And it does not affect your
Take
property.
that.
Yeah, doesn't affect your property at all.
Okay. And that was my only question.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. Okay. We got any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Matt came in and bought the land when Matt came in and bought the land that I had already purchased, and now he says he owns it as an easement, same question basically, that's gonna lead to the conservation. But you're saying that it's not an easement?
No, she's saying it's a conservation easement. You explain it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how we got on this topic, but the conservation easement is just a legal document that is only on the MC Davis property, and all it does is explain that the property will only be used for conservation. I know it's confusing because usually when we hear about easements, that usually means for access or for utilities or some other purpose, but this just means that the property will only be used for conservation purposes.
And you can't build anything on it.
Right.
Can they hunt on it still? I mean, or how come I hear all these?
Yes, they can.
Okay, because I hear a lot of people shooting out a lot of guns, and I'm like, wow, that's not nice. If it's conservation, they should
Yes,
be
ma'am.
protecting the animals.
To get that on the record, hunting and wildlife management, land management are normal activities within a conservation easement. That's not what we're approving here today. We're approving the future land use map change and the zoning change. The conservation easement is something they did separately with the FDEP, or the Water Management District, not involving us. We are changing effectively the zoning.
But
That,
they can still go in and hunt and all that.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They could do that anyway.
Yeah.
That doesn't have anything to do with tonight's proceeding.
Okay, we got any other public comments? Okay, we'll close public comments. Commissioners, y'all have any questions for the applicant? Okay, well, what are your wishes then?
Move to approve.
Second it. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. That moves us to agenda item number 5, which is a companion application to change the future land use amendment and rezoning on the remainder of the privately owned area that was previously within the Black Creek Neighborhood Planning Area prior to our comprehensive plan changes. I'll let Stephen provide some more details on this application.
This is a large-scale amendment application submitted by Walton County Planning and Development Services requesting approval of a large-scale future land use map amendment from the Black Creek Special Planning Area to residential and mixed use, and a zoning district change from the Black Creek Special Planning Area low-density residential in the BCSPA Rural Town Center to urban residential and village mixed use, respectively, on 9 individual parcels totaling approximately 587 plus or minus acres. The proposed map amendments to the subject lands are a result of a comprehensive plan amendment eliminating the Black Creek Special Planning Area and zoning designations. Subject lands are generally accessed off of County Road 3280. If I could enter the staff report and the record, please.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I do just want to briefly cover what I indicated before, or at least go into a little more detail. This was previously the Black Creek Special Planning Area. It no longer is. These parcels are for all intents and purposes, kind of in a land use and zoning limbo. So we're trying to rectify that to the best of our abilities. There are some concerns by Nokuse and potentially some other folks about what the county is proposing to change it to. And I want to discuss that briefly. So there's a set number of land uses and land use types and zoning designations that are currently in our comp plan and our land development code. When we look at the Black Creek Special Planning Area zoning districts in there, we only have so many zoning districts to change them to. We were left with 2 options, essentially. One, we could change it to a designation that would remove the property owner's ability to use their lands the way they wanted to. Essentially, the entirety of the Black Creek Special Plan Area allowed for some commercial, neighborhood commercial uses, residential uses, and other. The zoning districts we have that allow for those same uses have different densities than what is there now. So we either took away uses and gave them the same density or lower, or we kept the same uses and provided them by no fault of our own with a slightly increased density. That being said, that there's really just no way around it other than potentially creating, if you will, new land uses and zoning designations for just these 9 or 8 or 9 parcels that you see here. Again, they are just that remaining portion of the Black Creek Special Planning Area that is now defunct based on purchases that essentially removed the larger portion of the planned area. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
I do have a question. I truly am puzzled how urban residential would equate to either low-density residential or rural town center. Urban residential makes me think of like a seaside or a Rosemary Beach.
Right, and I think it's probably the terminology that is the potentially the point of contention there. But if you look at the allowable density there and intensity, you'll see that the base density for urban residential is 4 units an acre. It's allowed up to 10 through a conditional use process when sanitary sewer and water is available to the site. So the max density for that low density residential under the Black Creek is 4. The base here is 4. Again, it's really kind of the best we could do while maintaining those mixture of uses that were allowed under the Black Creek planning area.
I've got a question. You, you said it was a slightly increase in densities. How much is slightly?
So if one were to have that village mixed use, which would replace the rural town center, at 10 units an acre, the village mixed use allows up to 12 units an acre. So 2 units an acre increase.
Were the, I don't know if any of the people are here that are affected by this, that still own this property, were they made aware?
So they were made aware early on, about 2 months ago. We sent out a letter indicating what the staff was intent on doing, and then they received the normal notice of the meeting letter as well.
One of your statements, I thought and I didn't catch the beginning of it, so I thought you said something about this Black Creek special planning area, the maximum under one of those, and that, like you said, there were a couple, was 4, and under the new one, it would go up to 10. But then you gave a different number of 12, so I'm a little confused. You're gonna have to clarify for me.
Yes, ma'am. So under the current land use and zoning, there is the Black Creek Special Planning Area, low-density residential that allows from 1 to 4 units per acre.
Okay.
It also allows for neighborhood commercial. Under the BCSPA, allows for a mixed-use residential, which has a base density of 4 units an acre. There is also the Rural Town Center, which allows for 10 units per acre. So what staff is proposing is that the low-density residential and the mixed-use residential would be changed to the urban residential with the 4-unit base density, with the ability to go up to 10, requiring the conditional use and other compatibility measures that are written in the code. It's not just allowed by right. You do have to do quite a bit of additional work there. And the water and sewer is going to pose an issue for any development out there right now as well. And then the other proposed is the village mixed use, which is the 12. So it's a little confusing. I tried to put a table in here to help in the staff report. I apologize if it wasn't as clear as I had hoped.
Does Nokuse own land adjacent to the Black Creek Special?
Yes. So I don't know if you can flip back if you want to. You can look at that aerial for item number 4, and you can see how this aerial on the front of the staff report, if you look at this shape here, it fits right inside like a puzzle piece of that other larger square around. So they bought that in, right. Yeah, these are essentially inside of Nokuse properties. They're surrounded.
We don't have an applicant speaking tonight then, do we?
No, the county made application on behalf, not on behalf, but as a necessity, really.
Black Creek Special Planning Area doesn't exist anymore?
That's correct.
Okay. Any further questions for the staff? Okay. We'll open it to public comments. I know Mr. Davis, you're speaking, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioners. Mark Davis, Clark Partington for Nokuse. We didn't know that we had been involved, obviously, in the conservation change of the property. We were aware.
Your microphone was cut off by the.
I just.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
How about that? Here we
There
go.
you go.
So we were involved, obviously, in the change to conservation. We understood that the change on this particular piece of property would not involve any what we'd call upzoning or greater densities than currently exist on the property. We actually discovered Monday, no one's fault, we're not casting aspersions at anyone, but we discovered Monday that indeed what's being requested by the county is going to allow for greater density on that property than currently is allowed. We understand that there most likely could not be downzoning on this property because that would be a deprivation of some vested property rights. But we're not entirely sure we agree with the staff that this is the only alternative. We just frankly haven't had enough time to digest it and figure out if what they're telling us is true. I have great respect for Steve and Mac and all the staff, and I know they've looked at it, but we'd like an opportunity to at least take the time to look at it and make sure that this is the only alternative. If not, or if there's a way we can get this zoning change, land use change to where the densities are the same as they are now. We also understand that going to that 10 per would require a conditional use permit in water and sewer, and that's used to think it was way down the road. I'm not so sure that's true anymore, but it's down the road. So we understand that, but all we're asking the commission to do today on this particular item is just move it to the next month's meeting, and that'll give us a chance. And it's entirely likely I could pick up the phone and call the staff, say, you're absolutely right, this is all you can do. This is the only classification that they have currently that would work. So that's all we're asking, is just give us 30 days to, or whenever the next meeting is, to take a look and carefully look at the Black Creek overlay district, make sure that it's just something we're not missing at this short turnaround period. And again, not their fault. We just didn't pick up on it until Monday.
Okay. Mac, that's going to create a situation where y'all have to kind of create or do some fancy footwork to come up with a land use.
Well, and we're minimal to delaying this portion, this particular application from, to
That'll give
allow
you
us
a
to work
chance to
with the
look at it
adjoining
again.
landowners
Okay.
and give them comfort that this is the best solution, or if there's another solution that they may be aware of that we're not, we're certainly open to considering that.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to finish up with public comments and then we'll get a motion on that. Anybody else want to speak on this? Okay. I'll close public comments then. Commissioners? You want to make a
Move it to the next meeting.
motion to continue it to the next meeting?
Second.
Second. Is that good with you, Mac? Date certain?
January 14. January 14 at 4 p.m. in this location.
All right.
Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a motion to continue January 14th at 4 o'clock here. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Looks like all of our remaining items are quasi-judicial items. So anyone who anticipates testifying on any of the remaining items, if you would, at this time, stand to be sworn in. Raise your hand. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will provide to this board will be the truth? Thank you. Whenever you come forward, if you would, state your full name and state whether or not you've been sworn.
I'm Matt Carpenter of the Planning Department. The next item is number 6, the Water Sound Origins Phase 3, 62 lots. This has been a major development review by Renee Bradley of our staff, and I'll ask her to introduce it for us.
Good evening, Renee Bradley, Walton County Planning and Development. This is a major development order application submitted by Interlight Engineering Corporation on behalf of the Water Sound Company, requesting approval to construct 62 single-family residential lots on 32.54 acres, future land use and zoning of Bay Walton Sector Plan Village Center. This project is located at the end of North Water Sound Parkway to Pathways Drive, then on Breakers, right on Cannonball Lane, and is identified by the 2 parcel IDs in your packet. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. All technical comments on this project has been met, and I'd be glad to answer any questions for the board.
Staff, y'all have any questions for staff?
Applicants here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Renee. I'm David Smith with Interlight Engineering, and I have been sworn in. I'm representing the Waterstone Company LLC, and this proposal is a proposal to add 62 additional single-family homes. The property is part of the Waterstone North DRI and PUD, so this approval is consistent with the approved DRI and the PUD. Thank you. proposing 2 stormwater management facilities. General overview of the development plan. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
We'll open it up to public comments. Anybody want to comment on this? Do we have anybody on Zoom? Okay, then we'll close public comments. And commissioners? What do you-
Motion to approve.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The next item on our agenda is the Rosa Del Mar Master Conceptual Plan Modification. This is a major development. It's been reviewed by Stephen Schoen of our staff, and I'll ask Stephen to introduce it for us.
Stephen Schoen, S-C-H-O-E-N. I've been sworn. This is a major development order application submitted by Steve Hall on behalf of 38 Lofts LLC, requesting a modification of an existing master conceptual plan for an intense mixed-use development fronting Highway 98, including an additional adjacent parcel with apartment housing and associated infrastructure on approximately 24.04 acres. This project is located at the intersection of Mole Drive and Highway 98 and can be identified by the parcel IDs in your staff report that I would like entered into the record, please.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Just a point of clarification so that you guys understand the inserts from the applicant. The Rosa Del Mar name was part of the approved master conceptual plan, and the Saltaire name that you see on the additional documents is what the detailed PUD will reflect. So just so you're aware. There are a couple of minor comments left that staff just noticed at the final submittal stage here. It's just really a point of clarification that needs to be made in the data table. I have no doubt that it's something that can't be achieved moving forward, or I wouldn't have brought it to the board. Other than that, there are no outstanding comments, and if you don't have any questions for me, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hall.
Questions for staff? Okay, thank you, sir. Paul?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, good evening. My name is Steve Hall. My firm is Hall and Runnels. I'm here this evening representing 38 Lofts LLC. I am the least capable member of a really very competent team who is all on Zoom. I do have one of the principals, Ken Minshew, of the property owner developer here. We're all available to answer questions for you. I think I have a couple of slides coming up. And we mention an intense plan that we are modifying. That's the intense plan we're modifying. It's basically a 2008 development order that's vested and valid, that has not only a big box retail or a hotel, 50,000 square feet office, live over work units, and it's all packed onto 10 acres. This is at the intersection of Mall Drive and Highway 98. It's a parcel right on the south side of the right-of-way of 98. Taking that valid development order, we went to staff and said, what would you think if we spread all this intensity out over 25 acres? And that's what's been done with the plan that's before you tonight. We're modifying that old intense plan and presenting you with the 24 and change acre rebirth of the plan. So I know I've given you way too much information in your packet in terms of illustrations of what the plan is about. But like I said, the team is here and available. Next slide. The major themes that we've got for Saltair are what I just told you, the spreading of the density and intensity across over twice as much property than is currently situated. Second part is that we are looking at El McCall Park as an amenity. You know, when we got together with a developer, we said, what are the real benefits to an apartment use in this area? And right down Mole Drive, we have one of the, finest pieces of property that's being developed as one of the finest recreational facilities in South Walton. And so we said, let's make that an amenity and hook up in any way that we can to that amenity. So you'll see on your plan that's, if you want to look at it closely, it's sheet L100 on the PUD plan. So you'll see there's about 3 ways that it hooks up to Helen McCall Park in terms of multimodal bike pedestrian access between the apartment complexes and what's now going on to the south of us. The important aspect of the hookup is not only that it's a multimodal hookup, but it's also a greenway hookup. So almost 5 acres of dedicated perpetual greenway space on the south side of the project around a lake that connects down to both Mole Drive and then through to 393 on that new extension of Mole Drive. Another aspect that we talked about with staff is if you know the corner of Mole Drive, the county has a little piece right there on the corner that currently houses a temporary recycling site. And there's not much recycling business going on, but we hope that'll come back around. But we said to the county staff at the beginning, how about if we move that recycling center to a more permanent location off the highway frontage within the boundary of the project? And you can see on the center of the project on Mole Drive, we've now built in or offer to provide a permanent facility for the relocation of the recycling operation. We would maintain the site. We would operate the site. The county would just be in charge of bringing the dumpsters in and carrying the recycling carts off. The other part of the connection is a connection down to the Gulf of Mexico. Via 393 and Thompson Road will have a clear connection all the way down to the parks on the Gulf. So we hope those will be great amenities for the new residential uses. I guess we will just stop right there and we'll see what kind of questions we have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paul. Does anybody got any questions for the applicant?
The Greenway Pathways you were talking about, does that mean bicycle trails and is this open to the public?
It does. That's part of the requirement. Credit for the Greenway. I'm too far away.
There, yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks. In order to get the credit, you have to put a perpetual greenway easement on it that allows for public access through the entire greenway system. And we're working with staff to get a configuration in terms of the trail and in terms of width and composition that the staff wants in terms of the greenways in South Walton.
Do you know if the bike paths will be paved or crushed gravel or what the construction will be?
We're not to that point, Mr. Cosson. The idea is this is a conceptual PUD approval. We're already tracking at TRC now with the detailed PUD approval plan that'll include that next level of civil engineering, next level of detail in terms of what will be put in. If we have no predisposition on whether it should be impervious, asphalt, concrete, or gravel, we're really looking to staff to help us understand what's going to work, what they think will work best. You know, South Walton, they've been working for a while to try to get a greenway, master greenway system that runs the length and breadth of South Walton. And we want to be able to be a part of that overall greenway system.
Thank you.
So are you at, you said there's an increase in density if you do the greenway. Are you saying that's in addition to the 256 apartments and the grocery and the retail shop and the village shop?
No, Ms. Brick, if the calculations for the number of units that are provided on your site plan include that density bonus already.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So, yeah, that's how the calculation for the allowable density was arrived at.
Have you discussed with the county about moving the recycling plant? Are they agreeable to that?
Yes, we have, Mr. Babcock, with staff, and I'm not sure if we've talked about it with the county administrator or not. I've been talking about this for so long. The idea is that we think that the best vehicle to utilize would be that standard 163 agreement, you know, an interlocal government agreement that would lay out the terms for the relocation of the recycling and what activities we would take care of on that. We've also, as part of the 163 agreement, we've also talked with staff, both in Public Works and in the Planning Department, about the signalization of that Mole Drive intersection.
They're on board.
Participating
They're on
in that.
board with that, okay.
That's a state thing, though, isn't it?
It's sort of a combination, Mr. Chairman. The state has to be able to produce a warrant that will justify the placement of the light. There's an existing warrant study from 2017, I believe, that just fell short of warranting the light.
Probably passes now, then.
Well, we've had some significant changes, both with Mole Drive and the development north and south on that intersection. So we're willing to participate in that. We've spoken with Public Works about that.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Open it up to public comments. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this? We got anybody on Zoom? Okay, well then we'll close public comments. Commissioners, what are your thoughts? Got any questions? Everybody's good?
Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Commissioners. This moves us to item number 8, the South Walton County Town Center Mixed-Use application. It's a request to approve by final order, and it's a major development that has been reviewed by Stephen Schoen of our staff. I'll ask Stephen to introduce it for us.
Stephen Schoen, SCHOEN, I've been sworn. This is a major development order application submitted by David Forstrom, PE, on behalf of Connie Bailey, requesting approval to develop 92 townhome units, a restaurant and mixed-use structure containing commercial and limited lodging on 11.3 plus or minus acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of Town Center 1. This project is located approximately a half a mile west of the intersection of Chat Holly and 331 and can be identified by the parcel numbers in your staff report, which I would like to enter into the record, if I may. Thank you. Great. The staff report reflects that there are no more outstanding comments. It has honestly been a long ways coming. But we are here now. You'll see a rather large recommendation section under the planning and development comments, and these are just that, recommendations, but they're based on the adopted Town Center 1 plan. It reflects things that aren't, that were not codified, but were just thought to be beneficial to that area within the plan. If you don't have any questions to me, I believe the applicant is available via Zoom.
I do have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
On number 4, what's the county's definition of the public right-of-way and who would maintain that if they agreed to that?
I believe a public right-of-way would require county maintenance. I don't know that actual book definition. I apologize.
Well, I looked up what the legal definition, I was just curious what the county was expecting here. And it mentions on number 6, minimum width of the sidewalks. Wouldn't you want a maximum?
So the TC1 actually calls out, I want to say it was a 10-foot minimum. That may be a little wide, but it does call out a wider sidewalk to allow for, I want to say it was probably for street, seating at restaurants and those sort of items that you would see in a kind of a pedestrian-oriented mixed use.
And then number 8, what are urban amenities?
So that again falls down to that kind of pedestrian idea that it's built around a pedestrian scale kind of ideology where there's park benches, multiple sidewalks and access ways and fountains for folks to sit at and, those sort of things.
Thanks.
With commercial restaurant and limited lodging, that is like a bed and breakfast, a hotel, motel?
I believe the idea is the limited lodging would be on top of the commercial. So it would be apartments or a hotel, actually, as I believe what they're seeking is a 50-room hotel or something. I don't have it right in front of me.
One, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments for staff? Okay, we'll let the applicant speak and see if we have any questions for them. We got the applicant online. Mr. Forstrom?
Yes, this is David Forstrom. Good afternoon. I'm the engineer on the project. Be happy and available to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody got any questions for the applicant? I don't see any questions right now. It looks like they're thinking real hard.
Okay. Don't think too hard. I'm just kidding.
Y'all don't have any questions for him? Okay, thank you, Mr. Forstrom. We'll open up public comments. If you'll stand by, though, you may get some comments from the public you need to answer, so just hold on. We did have one person sign up, John Hall.
My name is John Hall, H-A-L-L, and I have been sworn. Okay. I have some reservations about approval of this final project, and that's what this is about, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I am the property owner to the direct north of this lot, and my property runs almost 800 feet along this proposed project. I have concerns about conservation. I have been a 20-year resident of this residence and have watched a lot of things change on this particular aspect of Chad Holly Road. There is presently 3 other projects proposed for this corner. The 13 acres to the north of my property is proposed about 88 townhomes with 9 commercial lots across the front of Chad Holly. And there is also another project proposed to the west of this particular lot on J.D. Miller Road that is proposing another 84 units. And then on top of this, we have this project that's come up that's proposing 92 units. I don't see any, my concerns are stormwater. Majority of my concerns are stormwater and what you're going to do about it. Because at the time, since the Chad Holly repaving 5 years ago, the water and stormwater coming around down J.D. Miller and down Chat Holly Road has been a problem. The county does not do a very good job of maintaining the sewers out on Chat Holly, and there's always water standing on the road that becomes a traffic hazard. And as you recall, we just had a pretty severe rainstorm where we had 14 inches of rain in a period of time that shut down that road because of the inadequacy of the stormwater drainage of that particular corner. Since all of the land to the south of me is 2.5 to 3 feet taller than me, even if they come in and fill that with fill to build their construction project, it's going to raise all of that land higher than my current land, which is going to cause water to go towards the bay. And so my big concern is, where is all this water going to go? I do not believe that the density is appropriate for what else is being built around this particular parcel. And it's been my information as of yesterday that the lot that is directly to the south of this proposed project has now been timbered, has a 10-acre lot that has just been timbered, and the lot adjacent to this parcel to the east of it has also been timbered. So they just got done timbering 20 more acres of land. So we're going to tear this 10 acres down, and we're going to tear this 10 acres down, and we're going to tear this 10 acres down, which is going to cause a lot of water problems. The adequate drainage on Shady Miller is not adequate for any of the developments that are going in this corner. And so I'm strongly opposed to this entire project, because within the 800 feet of my property, I'm going to have 30 new neighbors. And these new neighbors are going to be 20 feet from my property line. So we're going to have a lot of noise. We're going to have a lot of music. We're going to have a lot of animals. And we're going to have not enough space between my land and their landscape easement they call 20 foot. The back of their buildings are going to be 50 feet from my fence line. What are we going to do about the fence line that goes across the back of my property? Are they going to build a privacy fence, or am I going to have to do that? Is it going to be 6 feet or 8 feet? There's a lot of questions and concerns I have about this project. I know Connie. I've known Connie for 20 years because I've lived on this property for 20 years. It's a family property that I live on. It was built in 1941. It's been there a long time. And everyone in this office room, every one of you, has driven by my piece of land on Chat Holly Road and looked at it and go, it looks nice. It's kept well, and I'm proud of it. And I'm afraid that the developments that are going to surround me are going to completely ruin the effect that this quiet area has had over the last 20 years of my life. I want to stay there, but with the thought of 275 new neighbors, 2 people, that's 500 people, who all both have cars, that's 500 more cars. Has there been an appropriate traffic study done for J.D. Miller and Chat Holly? The traffic volume that has changed in 5 years on that road has gone from 1,500 cars a day to over 3,000 cars a day. Heaven help us Saturday morning when the checkouts come from the beach and they try to head up 331 and they can't get up 331 because it's packed full of people. They come around J.D. Miller, they come around Chat Holly, and they sit on the road in front of my house and back all the way up to the stop sign at the high school to try to get out to 331 to get home. And then you have the problem with the traffic light at 331, where on just a normal daily basis at 4:30, you're 12 to 15 cars deep from that light, and you cannot access the right-hand turn lane. So that needs to be addressed.
Pretty sure the traffic issues were addressed.
Well, I don't know, when was the last traffic study done since the new road improvement?
Matt, do you know that?
Because it has been a substantial change.
Well, we had a substantial change all over the
Substantial
county.
change.
So, I mean, it's not just there, it's all over the county, because
Presumably, if you approve the 3 projects that are going on around my house, there is going to be a definite increased volume of traffic and safety concerns on that road. It is poorly monitored for speed. It is people drive way too fast on that road. I see it daily. I pull out of that driveway, my 82-year-old mother pulls out of that driveway, my child pulls out of that driveway next door to me, and their access to the road is sketchy at best because of mainly speed and volume. Are we going to put a light at Chad Holly and J.D. Miller?
I don't think there's a need for one there at this point, but
May need to take a look at that again if you consider approving these projects, because the traffic volume is going to increase by 500 cars. I've lived there a long time, and I've seen a lot of water come around that corner during the storms, and it's a problem.
well, and there's a lot of growth going in there all at one time, I understand that, but
And that's my concern.
but now these land use changes haven't been altered for some time, so you were aware that this could happen.
Yes, because I have lived there, and I remember the first meetings in 2004 when we were talking about Town Center 1 and what the conceptual plan was at that time.
Yeah.
And that was a good idea because it's helped develop that corner of Santa Rosa Beach. Let's make it the town if we're going to make it the town.
I'm sure it probably would have been a little easier for you if they'd have come in maybe one project at a time, 3 or 4 of them at once. It's kind
Three
of
of
tough.
them at once is just overwhelming to me, and so I'm going to consider relocating if it gets approved.
I
because
understand. I wish there was something we could do about that, but that's beyond our, I mean, we look at the projects as they come up. We
I
don't
understand
dictate
that.
how they come up, so.
This is the first I've become aware of the one that's directly behind me.
Yes, I understand.
So I felt that it was my duty to at least express my thoughts, my feelings, and displeasure with the plan, and let you all know I'm not real supportive.
I understand. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for your time.
Do we have any other public comments? We have a Zoom? No Zooms?
Could something be, I know stormwater is something that other groups, government groups have to work on controlling, and they have to get approval before the final development, correct?
No, every development that comes in absolutely has to undergo a stormwater review process by Public Works and our engineers and consultants. This project has satisfied the code and their concerns up to this point.
Is there any way to get a privacy fence between the property and his property?
The applicant is proposing a natural landscape buffer between this development and all residential properties that are surrounding it. I have not discussed that option. I don't know if Mr. Forstrom has an idea about that, if the owner's willing to do something like that or not.
And it could be a recommendation on our side of it too. If that's what.
I don't think the owners would be opposed to that idea. It would be good for both sides of the property.
I didn't catch that last part.
I think he said it'd be good for both parties.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Yes, sir. I don't think I closed public comments yet, so come on,
Privacy fence isn't as big of an issue to me, but the natural landscape area is very appealing to me because there are some 150-year-old oak trees, live oaks that go back along the back of the property that abut my property and her property, and I will tie myself to those trees. They're not cutting them down.
Are they on her side or your side?
The fence goes right down the middle of the trees.
Okay.
And there's 4 or 5 of them that are large. My property has the 3rd largest magnolia tree in the state of Florida, if you didn't know that. So big trees are a big deal to me, and I don't want the trees cut down. So in lieu of the fence, I mean, there is a temporary 6-foot fence up there at the present time. It's in disrepair, but we can work on that.
Well, I think they already had that in there, but it sounds
It's
like
in
Mr.
disrepair, but
Forstrom.
we can
No, I
work
mean
on that.
the natural, the vegetative buffer that they're.
Yeah, I don't
talking
want them to cut the trees down.
I doubt they would want to either.
They're like the trees in Eden, and we cherish the trees in Eden.
Sure. And I think Mr. Forstrom said that they would work with you on that too. Okay, we'll close public comments, and commissioners, y'all have any questions?
Is there a way to guarantee this man that this development won't result in flooding his property? Is there going to be stormwater infrastructure in place that can protect the citizen?
They always design it to handle a 100-year flood plan, but now I think this year we had the 500-year flood plan, and nothing was capable of handling that. That might have been the rain event he was talking about. I mean, everything flooded. They just don't engineer for that. But Matt?
Yeah, they are required to design their site to retain all of their stormwater for the particular size storm that's appropriate for this basin. And if it's a 100-year storm, that's what they're required to retain on site before it pops off into any public ditch or mosquito control ditch or that type.
Sir, are you satisfied with that answer?
I'm just not seeing that plan.
Well, they pipe it to wherever the stormwater ponds are. They'll have either swells or piping that'll take it to their stormwater ponds. Yeah, welcome to South Walton.
The recommendation on the fence or the trees certainly can be part of this board's.
Okay, thank you, Mac. Y'all got any other questions?
I have no problems with the growth because I'm a contractor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. We've shut down the public comments, but we appreciate what you've told us. Any other comments or questions? Barbara, you thinking, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm trying to think how to word this to make sure that they work with him on the large trees on the back of the property. I mean, they are going to have a buffer there, but
Ms. Brooke, I think you could just condition approval with a recommendation that those trees that were mentioned by Mr. Hall are preserved.
okay. I would like to make a motion that we approve this project with the condition that the owners and builder work with Mr. Hall to maintain the 100-year-old trees. They're very large trees. I'm not sure whether it's age or size, but
And
the magnolias and the oaks.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Second. Any other questions? Okay, commissioners, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. That moves us to agenda item number 9, the Hawks Landing application. This is a major development reviewed by Stephen Schoen, and Stephen will introduce it for us.
Real quick before we move on, do we remember who seconded Ms. Brooks' motion? Karen needs it for the minute. Oh, okay, Kevin.
Schoen, S-C-H-O-E-N, I've been sworn. This is a major development order application submitted by Nautilus Civil Engineers, Incorporated on behalf of South Star Communities, requesting to construct a phased development of 150 townhomes, 4 single-family homes and associated infrastructure on 38.85 plus or minus acres. The project property has a future land use of conservation, residential and mixed use, and a zoning district of conservation, residential and village mixed use. The property is located on the east side of Indian Woman Road and can be identified by the parcel IDs in the staff report, which I would like to enter into the record if I may, please.
Yes, sir.
Great. There are no outstanding comments associated with this development. And I really, the only thing I want to mention is that the applicant is proposing to dedicate 1.96 acres of land on the project site for a public park dedication. If you don't have any additional questions for me, the applicant is here.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Curtis Smith with Nautilus Civil Engineers. The project we're bringing to you tonight, we've been working on for quite some time. Went through several iterations over the last couple of years. This project is made up of two distinct zoning categories and parcels. The north one was a conservation residential 1 to 2.5 parcel. The south one was the last remaining VMU parcel in this particular area that hasn't come for approval with development order. As you know, VMU is our highest density category for these types of developments in this area. It allows for 12 units per acre. This particular property has a significant amount of wetlands on it, so we weren't able to get even remotely close to that 12 units per acre. We had some minor wetland impacts on this. We specifically kept those less than the half an acre. That's kind of the threshold that the state and the Corps have for going through the longer processes and a lot of analysis to determine if this is really what's best for the community. So our impacts are really on the fringes and things where we needed to impact just small areas. Also a couple of crossings with pipelines, sewers and things. The project has, like I said, two distinct categories. On the south, on the VMU parcel, it's allowed up to 12 units an acre. We're proposing 7.96 units per acre on that piece. On the north, we have 4 single-family lots that actually has its own little side roadway there, and the purpose of that was public works. We originally proposed those down in this area to keep them closer to the townhomes and the park on the north. However, Public Works, we did some coordinating with them, and they didn't want the extra driveways on Indian Woman Road. There are driveways all along the west side. Those are the 50-foot Old Town Center Rosa lots on the west side. Most of those are built already. So we thought we might do that as well, but we kind of came to the conclusion that it's best just to do the single access point there. You'll also notice these really large ponds here, or lakes, I should probably call them. This one's approximately 2 acres in size. This one's probably close to 3/4 of an acre or so. In all, we have, I believe, about 3 acres of lakes and ponds. And the purpose of that was floodplain compensation in this area. This is a floodplain development site, and there are some strict regulations on density and floodplain development. So we actually went to the extent on this one to say we're going to build these particular pads up out of the floodplain, and we more than compensated in those lakes. Like I said, the owner purchased that property at our recommendation early on in the process, where we said, to really make the best use out of this, we're going to need some really large lakes for floodplain compensation. So he purchased that property for that purpose, and that's why that really came there. If we look at the project overall, the overall density is about 3.96 acres, or units per acre. Like I said, we're meeting each individual zoning category, and if you look at it overall, it's just under 4 units an acre. We've got 2 recreation areas proposed. One is a public park. We're building a sidewalk all along the east side of Indian Woman Road. There's currently not a sidewalk on that side, and people park there all the time on that. So it could still be a problem with parking. Hopefully people won't do that when there's a sidewalk there. But if it does become an issue, hopefully our Walton County Sheriff's Department can help us out there. So we've got a sidewalk all along, and we're building a pedestrian bridge to get over to the public park area. And of course, that's always there for additional public park development in the future if so desired. We've got the community recreation field in the back, and the purpose of that really is this large excavation. Most of the materials that are being used to fill this is not an import site. We're not bringing in material. We're generating it all here on site. We're going to dry it out here in this location, and then over time they'll haul it to fill those pads out. And at the very end, once all that material generation is out, they'll smooth it out and make a nice play field for the residents there. Probably a soccer field type of scenario. So that's our project. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you, sir. We'll open it to public comments and see if anybody's got any questions. Do we have anybody on Zoom? No? Anybody in the audience? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Margaret Landry. I've been sworn. Please forgive be patient. I don't know a lot about zoning issues. I just heard about this today. I live on Joy Lane, which is off of, not far from Indian Woman. And over the last couple of years, we've just had tremendous development in the area to the point where it's a bit concerning. We have two of the Horton Express Home areas that went in. They completely came in and clear-cut the areas. And I'm not opposed to development. I really love development, but I would prefer it to be sensible development where we can keep the how we've been in Santa Rosa Beach, you know, the old trees and not having 12 houses put into these little bitty areas. So this is a little bit of my concern, and I don't mean to, you know, I don't know a lot about what you guys are doing, and I'd like to learn more about it. But, you know, I just heard about this today, so I haven't done my homework, and please forgive me for that. But that's my concern, is that there's just so much development. And like Mr. Hall, I've been in this area a long time, and over the last couple of years, it just seems like there's been a lot of snowballing, and so it just concerns me for Santa Rosa.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you it's gonna get better, but I don't think it is.
Well, you know, but what we can do is make sure that they're not, you know, a whole bunch of houses on an acre. You know, try to at least preserve what property we have and have, instead of high-density homes or whatever.
This is actually, with the amount of acres they have, is fairly low, because I think you said it's less than 4 per acre across the entire parcel. So it's actually, I know they've got them clustered in certain areas.
Right.
But that leaves a lot of open space out there that won't have any houses on them too.
But
So
see, in
this is-
our area, we're zoned, we can just put one house per acre. Like, I couldn't divide up my lot. So I don't know how the rules changed. And again, I apologize, I don't know a lot about zoning issues, and it's something I guess I'm gonna need to learn a lot
I don't either,
about.
but I don't know of anything, Max, there's stuff over there, is just 1 unit per acre?
21 Joy Lane, it's right on the bay. My understanding years ago that we could not have split up our property. I just hate to see the zoning changing, so.
This is not changing,
Okay.
yeah, this is something that's been done a while back, so they're just doing what they were already capable of doing on this property. We're not changing any of that.
All right, I guess I just want to advocate for as little homes as possible, as less traffic, and like Mr. Hall, there's just. Pardon?
I'm not sure.
More traffic, more development, more important coming in and clear cutting, and that may not be what you're doing, and but.
This is one of the lower density projects that we've
Okay.
seen in a while, so at least that's good for you.
Yeah.
I know this is no consolation, but I share your concern.
Yes, I mean, I really do. It's, so, anyway, I am going to learn a lot about zoning issues and hopefully be here again.
Thank you, ma'am. Do you have anybody else that wants to speak on this? Anybody on Zoom? Okay. Do you want to comment on anything else, or are you good? We'll close public comments now. You can have the last word.
I believe we covered it, but, yeah, like I said, this is low-density residential. Obviously, it does look like clear cutting when you're looking at just the dense area, but we're doing cluster development specific because of wetlands and the environmentally sensitive areas on this site. So we're purposely clustering for that.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Any commissioners? We've closed public comments, so y'all got any questions, comments?
Is there a sewer and water available here?
Oh, yeah.
I actually forgot one thing, it's on the back of this map. As part of this project, there is sewer and water in this area. Indian Woman Road currently has a low-pressure sewer line that Regional Utilities has. Everybody on that line has to use grinder pump stations with low pressure. This developer is going to be paying for about 1,200 foot of 6-inch force main going up the east side of Indian Woman Road. Maybe west side, we're still working on that with Regional at the moment. Regional is going to be paying to extend from Nelly Drive, south across Chad Holly to Indian Woman Road. So there is a sewer upgrade for force main going on this particular project. Water lines are already there in front of the property.
Thank you.
No, so the lines you see on there are actually, the squiggly area is actually wet pooling area, and that will be water. It'll be, the pond will be between 4 and up to 12 foot in depth. Right now, we got about 5 foot in depth, so it could be good fishing ponds and things as well. Hang on just. This is a secondary wetland buffer. This is the wetland area here. So, conservation residential also requires a significant amount of upland preservation as well when there's not a lot of wetlands on it. So we're preserving both wetlands and uplands around those ponds. There's a little bit of walking space where the banks and things are, but it'll be all vegetated. We're not going to put concrete or anything back in those areas.
Okay. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioners. This moves us to agenda item number 10. And this is the ACE Home Helpers of Santa Rosa Beach application. It's a major development reviewed by Tim Brown, and I'll ask Tim to introduce it for us.
Good evening, Tim Brown with Planning and Zoning. This is a major development order application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates requesting approval to construct 27,000 square feet of commercial in 2 buildings and associated infrastructure in 2 phases on 2.15 acres with a future land use of mixed use and a zoning of village mixed use. It's located immediately west of the Publix shopping center. It was approved by the DRB at their meeting on November 5th by a vote of 5-0 with 3 conditions. And with that, I will ask that the staff report be entered into the record, and I'll take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Y'all got any questions for staff? Okay, thank you. Tim?
Thank you, Tim. Dean Burgess with Emerald Coast Associates, BURGIS. I have been sworn. We are the engineer of record and agent for the owner on this project. Tim did a pretty good job of introducing it. It will be designed to be incorporated with the public shopping center. Shopping center sits here. This is actually the retention pond that's alongside of and in back of public.
Are y'all sharing the retention pond?
We are. We are. We've actually, the owners of the Publix development and this property here are the same owners, and they had some deed restrictions and allowances, one of which was for this property to utilize and the retention. So this is the drive aisle in front of the Publix. It will be incorporated here, ultimately go back out to Highway 98. So the idea is for this to be coordinated with Publix and look as one seamless development.
This isn't the ACE down the road that's moving?
It is not.
Okay.
No, this is a new ACE. Yeah, the South Bay ACE is privately owned.
Competing ACEs, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, this will be more of a hardware store, whereas South Bay is a building material store. So they're really, different products. But we've think we've done a good job of designing it. I think it'll work well with the development pattern that's out there, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
You got any questions?
Did you say there would be I know where it comes in on the side of Publix. Did you say there's another? Oh, no, I get it. I remember now how it was. It goes back. Yeah, I remember.
There will actually be 3 accesses to the development. There's the main one at the light for Publix.
Right.
Going west, there's another one where you can exit currently
Right.
out of the shopping center. And the third will be the extension of this that will ultimately go south.
There will be an extension. Okay.
Yes, and
All
it'll be
right.
a right in, right out.
I'd missed that the first time when I read it. Okay.
What did you say about that partial that borders 98?
The parcel that borders 98
What did you say about that?
is available for new development.
Okay, so it's not part of the project.
It's not part of the project, no. But the intent is, public still controls that, is for this all to be coordinated.
That's what you were saying.
Service drive.
Coordinated with another business is what you're saying.
Yes. Right.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
We didn't have anybody sign up. Does anybody in the audience would like to speak on this? Don't have much audience left, do we? Okay, if we got anybody on Zoom? Nobody watching from home either? Okay, we'll close public comments. Commissioners, what are your wishes?
Move to approve.
Motion? Second it. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Good deal.
Thank you, Commissioners. This moves us to the last item on our project agenda tonight, the Origin Bank application. It's a major development order. It's also been reviewed by Tim Brown of our staff, and I'll ask Tim to introduce.
Thank you. This is a major, no, I'm sorry, it should say major.
It says major in ours.
Yeah, at the top, though, it says minor, I'm sorry. This is a major development order application submitted by McNeil Carroll Engineering requesting approval to construct a 3,362 square foot bank with drive-through and associated infrastructure on 1.05 acres with the future land use and zoning of Bay Walton Sector Plan Town Center. So it's part of Watersound North. It was approved by the DRB at their meeting on November 5th by a vote of 5-0 with one condition. They also granted a deviation for an additional building sign, and they granted a deviation for roof pitch. And with that, I'll ask that the staff report be entered into the record, and I'll answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. You got any questions for staff? Okay, thank you, sir.
Hey, good evening. My name is Sean McNeil with McNeil Carroll Engineering, 17800 Panama City Beach Parkway, Panama City Beach, Florida. We were employed, I'm showing you the larger parcel that is the grocery center, shopping center with the out parcel shown here, which is 1.05 acres. Development of the bank site, which is 1.05 acres, 3,362 square feet, with two drive-through lanes for banking, and there's ample parking. There's more parking than needed. There's actually also parking spots for golf carts. The infrastructure is already there by the parent parcel, stormwater, water, sewer access.
Okay.
I'll entertain any questions you may have.
You got any questions?
Appreciate it.
Sure, thank you. We'll open up to public comment then. We don't have anybody in the audience, so, well, we got, I don't know, oh, y'all are all together? Okay, never mind then. Y'all don't want to criticize anything on your project? Okay. Do we have anybody on Zoom? All right, then we'll close public comments. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion,
Second it.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank y'all. We got one other item. I think we need to okay the agenda for next year, don't we, as far as meetings? Okay, did y'all have a chance to look at it? On the dates, it pretty much follows the same thing we did last year, doesn't it?
Except for Veterans Day, November 11th.
Yep. And my schedule is good for either day, so I can work with anybody, if anybody's got a complication on any of those days. I think, was it the 9th and the 10th? They were.
Right, Wednesday or Friday, wasn't it? Wednesday or
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Correct, because Thursday's the holiday.
Okay,
I mean, yeah.
Tuesday or Wednesday of that same week.
But Tuesday won't work, that's the BCC date. Yeah, we can't have a BCC meeting.
So the Wednesday is the,
You guys want to do it without me and Mac and everybody else there?
might go fast.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Okay, so.
I think we need our legal advisor. I think we want to be in that without you.
So we're looking at Wednesday then of that same week. And all the rest of the dates are good for everybody? Okay, we need a motion on that, Mac? Or Sydney? Yes, we do. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the dates?
Okay, need a second?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Okay, we got our meeting set for next year. I guess we are adjourned. Thanks, sir. Yes, sir. How's your?